these are an incredible range of 3D printed products. I do like that you can also, if maybe you're not confident with painting, you can order them up ready painted and you're good to go to get them on your layout first time every time. A big hello to you, so great to see you, and I hope I find you well. Today we're taking a look at the world of 3D printed items, and today's review items come from a company called Inoxion Models, and we do have a link to them in the description box down below. They were a company which I must admit I wasn't familiar with, but I got talking with their representative at a recent model railway show, and they had a couple of items with them that they showed me which really did look pretty amazing. Now, I've done reviews on 3D printed items before, and there's some great products out there, but one of the things which is often apparent on 3D printed items, not always but often, is that you get a degree of stratification. That is, there's sort of lines where the product is printed, and what really struck me with the Inoxion models is that they've got a very high definition but with none of that stratification. And in a lot of these items, it almost looks like they're an injection molded kit. That's how smooth the finish is and the level of detail that they're able to get into the structure. Their range includes a lot of different items, from building kits down through bridges as well, and a lot of street furniture and accessories that allow you to really detail a scene. Now, some people say, well, you know, I just buy ready to plant stuff because I'm not confident with painting. And that again is an area where Inoxion models offer a painted surface for some of these items, where you can specify that you want them painting, and for a few pounds more they will come ready painted, ready to plant. So they've very kindly arranged to send over a number of different items for us to take a good close look at, and I'm really looking forward as well to maybe having a little project towards the end of this video where I use some of these to really make a scene come together. And that's the beauty of these 3D printed items, that they give you something just a little bit different to really add to the detail of your model railway scene. So come with me in association with Trainomatic, makers of DCT decoders and accessories that are designed by enthusiasts for enthusiasts. Find the full range available to order now at tramfabrique.co.uk. Additional support comes from...
This is Clark Railworks, and this is what we do. You'll know us from Ellis Clark Trains, and you'll get the same friendly expertise with us too. We've got a huge range of pre-owned model railways from all your favourite manufacturers, and maybe some you hadn't heard of before. It's the place to come for quality. We don't stock substandard models, and everything we sell is fully tested and photographed by model railway experts. No matter whether you model double O gauge, N, HO or more, we have sought after models from all around the world, with new listings added every weekday. Check out what's available now at clarkrailworks.com, and don't miss out on your latest logo.
I'm really excited to take a good close look at these, and like I said, when I met their representative at a recent show, what really caught my eye was the telephone cubicles in particular. And I'm really pleased to see that they've actually sent over some of these in both painted and unpainted, so we can really take a good close look at the detail. And they've also sent over a really interesting building kit as well. And this isn't just a case of, guess where all the pieces go. The pieces are actually numbered up, a bit like an Airfix kit, and you get some nice instructions too. And that's going to turn into a pretty good project with the positive location lugs on the pieces too. It looks like this is going to be a pretty straightforward building to construct, and certainly for somebody who's all thumbs and big toes like me, it's a great idea to get great results first time every time. But first, I'd like to ask a big favour. Please tickle that like button, share this video to social media, and subscribe to the channel if you've not already done so. It's free to do, and ringing that bell gets you first dibs on seeing the new videos as they come up. But we're getting ahead of ourselves, so come with me and let's take a look at some of the products from the range by Inoxion Models. When it comes to detail and accessories on your layout, there's only so much that can be got ready to plant, and that's where some of the smaller suppliers such as Inoxion Models really do come into their own. And I'm really grateful to Inoxion Models for sending over a few items for us to take a close look at. Now, they're a company that I hadn't heard of before, but what really caught my eye was the quality of the 3D printing on some of the items that I was shown at a recent show. Now, 3D printing in my mind always has the limitations of that stratification of the layers that are printed out, and that was something which didn't seem to be very apparent on the Inoxion models. They're very smooth finish and a really high definition to the detail that actually made me think that they were injection molded rather than 3D printed. And I got into a conversation with them, and they very kindly offered to send over a few items for us to have a good look at here on the channel. Now, the first thing that's come out of the box is the catalogue, and there's some really nice stuff in here. I must admit the bridges do really catch my eye. I'm a big fan of bridges, model bridges. There's something which I think really does improve a model railway scene, and in particular in here we've got some truss style bridges, girder bridges, brick style viaducts, and even a curved one. Now that's something that if you're building, say, from card kits or even scratch building, curved viaducts, whilst quite common out there in the real world, are incredibly difficult to get right in model form if you're using things like card. So to have that 3D printed on a curve is a really potentially quite a useful space-saving device. Buildings are not neglected, and we've got a number of bits and bobs in here, and I do quite like these. The English town clock, there's actually one in Brighton that I remember seeing that always really did impress me. And we've got the windmill, and then looking back over this page, an assortment of various houses, static caravans, also good for a load. And then the accessories too. Now these were what really caught my eye, particularly the phone booths, and you can buy these either painted or unpainted. So I know some people are a little bit reticent about having to free 3D printed items off the sprue and then paint them. Some people want the convenience of ready to plant, and that's something which Inoxion models do actually offer. First of all, I'm going to finish having a quick flick through the catalogue, and they've got quite an extensive range in TT, which is getting quite big and popular these days, and N-gauge as well. N-gauge modelers are not forgotten too. One of the things that they have sent over very kindly are printed and unpainted just there on the sprue, and the finished painted items there, which are just a few pounds more, but you can see that first up we've got a really great finish on there. And I should apologise for the paint that's on my fingers. I made the mistake of painting the fence before I started filming this video, and it won't come off, which is kind of what you want with a garden fence, but not when it's on your hands. But getting back to the models, well, the print on there, we've got this quite complex shape that's very characteristic of the British red telephone boxes, but there it's just really quite smooth. There's no weird lines on there, and looking to the 3D print, that's not because they've been sanded before painting. That really does have a nice clean finish, and you can see the actual definition of the detail on there is quite incredible. And these were actually the items that I was shown at the show. And one of the things that I do want to do is just see how easy these are to separate. I've sometimes had a few issues separating things, and there, it just kind of breaks off quite cleanly. You can see that there's the minimum of support. In fact, let's just see. Will it break off cleanly without really needing to... I'm gonna get it going. I don't want to risk it, but you don't really need to work too much. So there we are. It's just, again, broken off nice and cleanly. Let's have a look inside. This is straight off the sprue. You can see there's a lot of detail in there that is visible through the windows. Remember the A and B button phones, just pretty much on their way out when I was very, very young. But certainly these are really nicely realised. That detail on the doors and the sides really is pretty crisp, and these are actually pretty robust. I'm giving this quite a bit of squeezing and punishment, and that is holding up really, really well. Now with the painted item, this has been really quite nicely, I'm guessing spray painted, but it does mean that we've got some really nice definition there through the mesh of the doors, and the inside is painted as well, which does go a long way to help the modeler. And then we've got some of the detail right there on the top picked out in gold paint, and that is really quite nice. The only thing left to do is the white, where it would say telephone just around the top, and that's quite easy to just pick out with a tiny amount of paint. I'll do that before I add these to the layout. And in fact, actually, I'm quite keen to paint up these two as well, and just see how readily this 3D printed plastic does take the paint when using. I'm going to use Humbrol enamels. Just up here, these are unpainted and on the sprue, and you'd need to paint these with either an aluminium style paint or maybe a gunmetal. Something like, I think, Humbrol 53 should do the trick. And you can see there, quite robust, but these are quite ubiquitous sites out in the countryside. You'd have a hay bale drop down inside by the farmer, and then the cattle would be able to eat through the bars. And these are definitely something which, if you've got a more rural scene, would be quite common out there. And again, with something really quite delicate as this, let's just see how well do these separate from the base. And I'm not going to be quite so gung-ho with this. And this is another area where I've struggled with 3D prints in the past, where you end up with a lot of the carrier pieces kind of stuck to the model. Now, these are incredibly delicate, and I do feel that perhaps I'm just being a little bit careless. And let's just make sure that we get the last there. And I suppose don't worry if you cause a few dings in the model, because these did get beaten around quite a lot in the real world. So let's just have another go on this. And it is quite a, I don't want to say brittle, but it's quite a hard plastic that doesn't have much give to it. And you can see the base has actually cracked across there, but that's fine. And just very carefully break that free. That's come off really quite cleanly, and that's exactly what we want. I think it's quite a nice design of the carrier structure piece, that they've got a built-in weak point that allows these to break free quite easily. Looking to some of the painted items, we've got some bottle banks here that have got a really nice quick coat with the black spray paint here. These are actually how they came, and they've actually come out really nicely. And again, let's just try and free one of these from the base. And again, look, you can see there, really quite clean. I've just snapped that free, and there's no flash or anything left on there. And that is actually, look at the curve on that. There's no stratification to speak of. Some really nice lifting eyes on the top. And these are an amazing starting point for all manner of urban paraphernalia that's quite common out there. So we've got these very kind of 1960s, 1970s urban planters. You could imagine a really nice floral display contained within those. And they don't have to be in one of those brutalist concrete monstrosity town centres. You could imagine these perhaps outside on a platform on a station filled with flowers. You could imagine these almost maybe next to a signal box with a little bit of a garden display, and there's plenty of different options. Inoxion also do garden fencing, and you can see here we've got all the fence panels come together in this really quite handy block. Run a scalpel between them to break them apart, and certainly you've got instant fencing for your gardens. And they do several different styles of fencing. So we've got round top, square top, and again going back to painted items, wheelie bins, a really quite prominent fact of modern life. We've got some with the lid stuffed all the way open, some with the lids actually flipped back, and you can imagine these would be a great starting point. You could put all manner of scraps of rubbish in there. I could imagine that there's plenty of scope there for customization on your model railway. More painted items, we've got post boxes. And again, really crisp and clear with the gold dry brush there on, I think it's that E2R. Are they all E2R, or do we have a George Royal in the middle? It's a little bit difficult for me to see, but look at the definition on the letter slots all around the top. And again, we've got very little sign of stratification in the print. The curve is really quite crisp. You could imagine maybe a little blue plaque at the bottom saying Danger Mouse lived here. Something like that. These are really quite nice. An assortment of planters and pots. There's really loads of stuff in here, it has to be said. Quite a range. They're the same planters and pots, but unpainted. And again, some more there, plenty for gardens. We've got some milk churns, and that's quite a pleasing finish on those. Quick spray paint, these are how they come in their painted form, and they're just perfect, ready to use. And if you're looking for additional detail for maybe your parks, your public areas, do you remember these type of waste paper baskets? I remember they had these at my infant school, and that really does take me back, sort of 1970s into 1980s. Horrible things, always smelt, but there they are, perfect for that kind of urban scene. And then a variety of other litter bins, and these are completely see into and through. The detail is quite incredible on these, so really quite impressed. Pallets, perfect for an industrial scene, or even if you wanted maybe a bunch of kids building a bonfire, then some distressed pallets wouldn't go amiss for something to burn. We've got pallecons here, which are basically palletized liquid containers. They have a big plastic box with a tap at one end. I'm just looking around there. There we are. There's the representation of the tap. And these are a way that liquids, including milk, other foodstuffs, PVA glue, AdBlue is also shipped around in these, inks. So many different commodities these days are shipped using these sorts of pallecons. So you could imagine these stacked in a yard, or even on the back of a lorry. There's certainly loads of scope for these. And then we've also got this figure as well, and if I'm not mistaken, I think this is the gentleman who I spoke to at the event, who's organised sending out these samples. So that's brilliant, nicely painted, some great definition. You can see all of the detail on the face, and I think I'm going to. I think we're going to have a new signalman. So, do you want to be a signalman? Yes, I do. I'll be a signalman. To be a nice permanent addition here on Weir Yard. So we've also got a couple more of the painted and finished bottle banks. There's so much stuff here, it has to be said. And there we go, a green bottle bank, another black one. These really are lovely detailing parts. One of the other items that they've sent over is this corner pub. And what's impressed me again about these, it comes as a kit. And just open it up, we've got some instructions here which show you how to put it together. So you can see that we've got parts that are numbered. We've actually got quite a nice internal structure. You could imagine actually decorating and adding lighting to these rooms. And it just builds up quite nicely into a pretty robust building by the look of it. And what I really like here is, we've got some bookmarks as well. But we've got individual packs, so there we are, parts 23 to 29. I love the look of these chimneys. Look how crisp and clean the detail on there is. You could imagine very, very readily getting an amazing finish on these bricks, using very thin down white acrylic to do the mortar courses over the top of painting them a kind of a brick colour. Very, very quickly get a great result. Now I'm going to make sure that goes back in the same bag. And I think this is definitely one for the cupboard monkey to have a go at. And we've even got some more milk churns, dustbins. Those are, I vaguely remember some of these discarded in the countryside when I was little. These very strange conical style ones. Dustbins as well, very much a fixture, these 1970s style, really quite lovely. Got pub and hotel signs, and then the actual building itself. I think I'm going to turn this over to the cupboard monkey for a build project, because this, I think, deserves a video all to itself. But looking there, we've got a really great finish to the... so there we go, we've got, again, that's really quite nice, this more Georgian style brickwork. You can imagine picking that out in all the different colours. It would really come together quite nicely. And this is really quite robust, actually. And you can see that we've got the angled corners. So when these go together, you don't get that edge that gives you a weird kind of insight to its construction. These actually really do fit together really, really nicely, actually. So you can see that the structure very quickly builds up into really, really nice, solid structure. And I'm going to put those back in the box. This is really quite a nice kit, and certainly I think the cupboard monkey is going to really enjoy building this. We've even got some pretty good locating lugs there, you can see on the roof, to aid positioning as you put all this together. There's a lot of thought gone into this. We've got these male and female lugs, and they are actually quite a nice positive fit, and that really does hold that together whilst you glue sets. I really like this. This is a really quite clever design there. So you can see that the roof design, we've got some of the end gables in here, even just with a dry fit, there is, wow, this is really quite nice. So we get a positive location. You can't fit the wrong pieces in the wrong place. It's, I mean, this is really, really nicely designed and put together. And yeah, there. Now let's just tease that in. And there we have, how easy is that roof structure to put together, and then the chimney would go in there. This is actually really well designed kit. I mean, if you hadn't said to me that this was 3D printed, I would have said that this was injection molded. This is an incredible kit, and we will have a future video where the cupboard monkey puts this together, but certainly the quality of the fit, the design, the instructions, this is certainly an amazing product, and I'd like to thank Inoxion Models for giving us the opportunity to take a look at these. These are an incredible range of 3D printed products. I do like that you can also, if maybe you're not confident with painting, you can order them up ready painted and you're good to go to get them on your layout first time every time. There's no stratification, and the building kits, really nice put together, such a positive fit on those parts, nicely numbered up as well with some quite clear instructions, and they will make a really great building first time every time. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a little bit of a fit on the telephone boxes, some of these post boxes, and I think our purveyor of 3D printed goodness here, I think maybe actually they would be perfectly placed with the telephone boxes, maybe getting ready to make a call. Well, I really enjoyed that little project, and as you saw there, it really came together with that scene. You don't need a lot of stuff to really bring alive these little corners of your layout. And what we did here was in one of the lesser seen areas of Weir Yard. I've been thinking for some time now that what would really set the scene was something like phone boxes. So when Inoxion Models sent these over, I knew exactly where these needed to go. And back in the day, you often used to see 2 or more of these phone boxes together, certainly in an area that maybe had a lot of business. Then you would have quite a few. And I remember Durham Centre, just in the market, there was kind of like a big huddle of them, 4 of them, all stood back to back. And that was a feature of the marketplace in Durham for a great many years until they were finally removed, killed off really by the advent of mobile phones. And, you know, it's very easy to forget that there was a time when actually you had to have a pocket full of loose change, and if you wanted to stay in touch, you had to find a phone box. It's also the case as well in high traffic areas. You'd often find those mail pillboxes fairly close by. And again, high traffic areas might have more than one. You could have one for franked mail, maybe, if there's businesses in the areas that were using franking machines, and then another for regular post. There's a lot of possibilities for these. And in this area of Weir Yard, I recently fitted the Oakworth station building from Scenecraft, and it did look a little bit sterile without anything else going on around it. So with these phone boxes, the first thing I did was just to fill in the detail at the top with some matte white from Humbrol Enamel. This is number 34, just painting in the areas that on the real telephone boxes would have been a kind of perspex thing with the word telephone on it, and usually backlit as well with some kind of tungsten filament bulb. Although in 00 it's a pretty good match. You just paint on a little bit of that white just to give the gist of what's going on. I added in too the figure that the representative from Inoxion Models sent along. This was the gentleman that I actually spoke to at the show. I recognised the figure, and I had initially thought that maybe this was something to add into a signal box. But on looking at the phone boxes, I thought actually this is perfect to have somebody in one of these phone boxes, and it's quite a simple thing to do. Just slide the figure in the right way up, make sure that you get them in head first, and once they're slid into place, you just need to put a little dab of glue around the base of the phone box and a tiny bit on their feet as well, so that when you carefully place the phone box in the right place, the figure kind of just sits down onto the ground and gets glued into place as well. It really pays to just make sure that you get these lined up. The real phone boxes would have been in quite a straight row and would have been equidistant apart. And make sure that you get the backs of the phone boxes facing in the right direction. I chose to put these facing the building, but if you had a clump of say 4, then you would often have the phone boxes back to back, and it's something that you can replicate with these models. I added in the pillboxes alongside. Again, I've got one for franked mail and one for regular mail, and I was quite tempted to put a little representation of a blue plaque at the bottom, and if anybody asked, it would have been a little blue plaque to say that Danger Mouse used to run his international organisation from here. We also then had a little bit of an opportunity to add in some of the milk churns. Now, these might be a little bit out of era for what Weir Yard normally represents, but actually these were too good to not find a home for. And a little cluster of these outside the office could mean that this is a parcels pickup point maybe, and they've been dropped off maybe by a local farmer, ready for them to be loaded onto the first milk train of the day. And it's certainly, the possibilities are endless. Unfortunately, as I don't model the modern scene, I couldn't really use the wheelie bins here or the glass bottle banks, but these are items that I will save, and maybe a future layout will benefit from inclusion by them. But what did you think of this? I'd love to hear from you in the comments section down below. Have you used anything from the Inoxion models range? What did you think of them? Or looking at this review, have you taken away some ideas and maybe something you could do yourself on your own layout? And certainly for me, I really like the look of some of those bridges, and if you're building a layout from scratch, it's the ideal time to make great use of some of these bridges to make an eye-catching feature in your scenery. We've also got a discount code for you from Inoxion Models, and a big thank you to them for sending that over with these review samples. And if you go to the website scale3d.co.uk to the Inoxion shop, and at the checkout type in the code IXN2023, then you will get a discount off your order. But please hit that like button, share this video, subscribe as well, and you can also head on over to Patreon and help support the channel to keep making the videos that you want to see. With a number of different tiers of rewards, there's something for everyone. Or you could also become a channel member, and that too gives you some great unique rewards for use in the Monday Club chat and early and free access to the Friday video. We've also got our full merch store as well, so check out our range of t-shirts, hoodies, mugs and more. And until next time, you take great care of yourself. Happy modelling, bye for now. Today's video comes in association with Trainomatic, makers of DCT decoders and accessories that are designed by enthusiasts for enthusiasts. Find the full range available to order now at tramfabrique.co.uk. Additional support is provided by...
This is Clark Railworks, and this is what we do. You'll know us from Ellis Clark Trains, and you'll get the same friendly expertise with us too. We've got a huge range of pre-owned model railways from all your favourite manufacturers, and maybe some you hadn't heard of before. It's the place to come for quality. We don't stock substandard models, and everything we sell is fully tested and photographed by model railway experts. No matter whether you model double O gauge, N, HO or more, we have sought after models from all around the world with new listings added every weekday. Check out what's available now at clarkrailworks.com and don't miss out on your latest logo.
I'd like to thank everybody over on Patreon, and an extra special huge thanks goes out to our Patreon heroes. Without you guys over on Patreon, we really wouldn't be able to keep making the video content that you see on this channel. And don't forget that you can also head on over to patreon.com/Jennifer Kirk and check out the different tiers of rewards. Thank you so much. You are absolute legends.